Well, folks. Michael B. Jordan finally makes his directorial debut with the film that we all have been waiting for. And we're going to jump into that review right now of the new film, Creed 3. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the channel today for another review. And today we're going to be reviewing the new film Creed 3, coming to theaters March 3rd. So yes, this is Michael B. Jordan's directorial debut. The screenplay is by Keenan Coogler and Zach Baylin, and then you also have the story by Ryan Coogler, Keenan Coogler, and Zach Baylin, with a whole bunch of producers that you know, one being Michael B. Jordan, and Sylvester Stallone is in there as well too. But yeah, this is the third film of the Creed trilogy within the Rocky universe. And I got to say, I want to be very critical here. This is a good Rocky universe film. I do not think this is a good sports film, and I do not think this is a good combat sports film. As somebody who consumes a lot of combat sports, there's a lot of this that I just had a hard time with. So with that being said, let me talk about what those issues are. Then we're going to get into all the things I liked about the film, because I think the film was fun and enjoyable. But as a combat sports enthusiast, yeah, there's problems here. There's problems. One, I think the choreography, and I've been very critical about this in the previous two films, I thought everything looked very telegraphed, you know, very choreographed, you know, and when you're doing these boxing sequences, you know, we see boxing all the time. Boxing is at the highest it's ever been right now. And the fact that when you watch this, you actually feel like you're watching some cinematic production, some theatrical production, I have a problem with that. I would think with all the training, all the hands involved, that this should feel like a legitimate boxing match, and it just doesn't. And in fact, yes, there's a lot of interviews done by Michael B. Jordan, as well as Jonathan Majors, that there's a lot of inspiration in this that feels like anime. So yes, it does. So as somebody who loves combat sports, and if you love combat sports, you're definitely going to be like, yeah, there's no way this would look or should look like this or feel like this, because it feels totally choreographed and totally telegraphed in terms of punches. You got somebody go 1 2 3, the next person going 1 2 3, like everything just feels very telegraphed and very choreographed. I'm getting the words mixed up here. With that being said too, like I said, it feels very cinematic, very theatrical. There's also just the means of it that some of the events of the film just didn't make sense. I think when you talk about Jonathan Majors' character and why he's considered a bad guy, if you really think and evaluate his story, he comes off like Mike Tyson to me. He is a person, and like age difference for sure, but when you talk about somebody who comes on the scene, who has knockout power, who just, you know, wasn't the cleanest fighter, you know, you obviously can consider him a brawler before a boxer at his prime, but at the end of the day, he would knock people out, and people cheered him. The fact that Jonathan Majors' character comes in and gets booed, you know, the character Damian gets booed. Yeah, he's older. He did 18 years in jail, and now that he's out, he wants to, you know, he wants to claim the throne. He wants to be the best. He wants a shot at the championship. And when he gets his shot, you know, he comes out, he's rough around the edges. He's a little dirty. There's some you know, moments within the fight where you're just like, yeah, that's dirty. But this is normal in the sport of boxing. You know, everyone's not so polished. There's sometimes antics that, you know, aren't so clean. But at the end of the day, I think that with him having knockout power and him being in this ring, and you understand it's you versus that person, and the survival instincts kick in, you know, how can you boo a person who just went out there and did their job? And the fact that they really like considered him a villain just on that notion alone, I just was just like, yeah, who doesn't watch a boxing fight and want a knockout? And the fact that he got a knockout, everyone was for whatever reason disinterested in him. So, you know, that. And then obviously there's some other little things, like a person being knocked out, but then a person automatically being crowned the winner while the person's still on the ground. That's not how that works. There's no regard to humanity here, where it's just like, oh, a person lost, but we're automatically rewarding the other person before we even make sure or check on the health of the first person. So like, in terms of the boxing production of this, you know, when you have Showtime, you have the Zone putting on their presentations, absolutely to the T. You know, commentary team, all their personalities, all involved, but just the boxing inside the ring was just not as good as it could have been to me. It was just little things that I just was just like, I don't know why they would just let the events of what's happening in the film just, you know, happen in the way they were happening. And obviously you can tell there was a lot of editing on this film, because a lot of the stuff that's in the trailer is not in the film as well too. So, you know, I just did not like how the developments of some of the things were happening in the films in regard to the boxing. I did not think that Damian, Jonathan Majors' character, should have been considered a villain so early just because he had knockout power and because he was a little bit dirty. I mean, he did 18 years in jail. Did you expect for him to come out and be polished? But he came out and he laid the hurt, and everybody was booing him. And I don't mean just the fans that were obviously against with the other boxer, but just everybody. It's just like, oh, okay, what? Oh, okay, whatever. We'll get past that. But yeah, you know, as a combat sports enthusiast, definitely like they could have did better. But yeah, there was a lot of inspiration by anime in this. They used this slow motion effect, which looked really cool, and they even had this isolated boxing match towards the end of this film where it was just the two of them in the ring, and they just put them in their own shadow realm. And next thing you know, we skipped like 10 rounds. We were in the final rounds. We got like 1 or 2 rounds, the shadow realm, and then the final round of the fight where all of the stakes were at its highest, you know? But like that was kind of like, well, why? Why did we do that? You know, but I guess. But anywho, just in case, like, you know, you don't know what the story's about. Adonis Creed, Michael B. Jordan character, he's doing good. His family life and his boxing career, which is now over. He has retired. He has hung it up, and he is now training other fighters. His gym is world renowned. He also has the heavyweight champion in Felix Chavez, played by Jose Benavidez, who just recently lost to Daniel Garcia, but he's still a tough guy, you know. So I like this for him. You know, lost a big fight, which could have won. You know, if he would have won, would have ultimately got him a huge payday going forward. But instead, he got a Creed check. So I'm not mad at my guy right here. And also too, like, you know, he as Felix Chavez is the unified heavyweight champ, which we haven't had one of those in 2 decades. And I like that they tell that story, because obviously the narrative here is we need to get rid of all these belts, folks. In boxing, it is becoming too political and it's taken away from the sports. But none, lo and behold, like, they're telling the story even within the story on that one too. But anywho, Adonis and Damian, they're brothers, man. They were together since the Sandbox, and Damian had a very promising boxing career before he had to do his bid. And a lot of who Adonis is because of what he saw by watching Damian, who's older to him. So he's like his older brother. He really got him into the world of boxing. They both had hands, but like, you know, seeing Damian succeed was something that really truly motivated Adonis. But for the 18 years apart, they didn't keep in contact. And once Damian got out, he came to visit Adonis, and he just wanted to get back in the mix of things. But yeah, there's a little bit of a liability and an image, issue as well too, because he did 18 years, and you know, just this whole idea of like, you don't owe him anything because he went to jail, and for whatever reason he went to jail, which they obviously explained in the film. You don't owe him anything, but you know, Adonis, that's not what you do with your brothers. And the two of them have a lot of catching up to do, because there obviously was some disagreements here, and maybe a lot of miscommunication, should I just say, nonetheless. But now that he's back, you know, Damian wants a shot at the champion, and he wants Adonis to facilitate that, since he has the connections, and since pretty much, you know, when you think about Adonis' rise to the top, you know, becoming a contender overnight, it has a lot to do with his story, but also the same story of his father Apollo. And Damian pretty much comes in and exploits all of that, you know, and thus the issues begin. And that's just where I'm going to leave it at there. But nonetheless, you know, let me talk about the things that were really good in this film. The signing community, the representation is done, and obviously I do not know how to sign, but with Adonis' daughter Amara being deaf, there's a heavy presence in signing within the film, and I thought that was really good to see on the big screen. You know, and as we tried to create more awareness within these different communities, I really did love such a focal point with Amara, who's such a lovable character, who probably gonna have a future within this Rocky Creed universe, as she wants to get in the ring, but her mother doesn't want her to get into the ring. And that does go to Tessa Thompson's character, who don't really have a major role in this film. Yeah, she's, you know, they introduce, you know, the dynamics of this family, how the family operates. And because Tessa's character was starting to lose her hearing, she stepped away from being a performer to now producing music. And it now becomes, how much of that do she really miss? But ultimately, what does she love more? Which happens to be her family, which means she will have to make sacrifices in the other things she loves. And I bring this up is because Damian also exploits that too. He is here to shake some things up. There's some twists and turns, there's some secrets and all that involved with him and Adonis here. But you know, with that being said too, yeah, Amara is a very interesting character as the daughter, which I see a big future within the Rocky Creed universe and whatnot. And talking about performances here, listen, Jonathan Majors without a doubt is fantastic. I think we all know that by now, and I think while people joked about seeing a little bit of his character Damian as Kang the Conqueror in the closing scenes of Ant-Man Quantumania, I think that without a doubt we just can see why he's such a phenomenal actor, because while we even jokingly tried to make that comparison, he's an absolute different character in this. It does not feel like Kang at all. And with the accent, with the posture, the mannerisms, he's a whole different beast in this. So, you know, Jonathan is fantastic. Michael B. Jordan is great as well too. Love some Tessa Thompson. Amara, you know, the daughter played in this. She's fantastic. And I think too, you know, people like Wood Harris who comes in here and shake things up. And you also got some returning folks as well too. Felicia Rashad, who's the mother. Florian Big Nasty, who comes back in as Drago, menacing as always. So like tons of names from the previous films, but you also have some cameos such as Canelo Alvarez in this. You also got Kalani, who performs as one of Tessa Thompson's artists, shall I say. So, you know, there's a lot of star power. All of the personnels and notable faces that you know from Showtime Boxing and DAZN, they're all in there. And then when you talk about the production in itself, the production is literally the best part of this film. There's some fantastic shots within the cinematography. The boxing production, like the presentation of the boxing looks fantastic. It feels like a big event. You know, when it comes down to these big events, I always say WrestleMania is the cream of the crop, and boxing is slowly trying to like get involved with that. And I think movies like this is what is really pushing that needle, because when you see the boxers' introductions and the music and the lights and everything, and obviously this is still a film being shot, it looks amazing. It looks amazing. The entrances of the boxers are fantastic in this, you know, and it gives you the feel, which is why like you get hyped for these big fights, and like you hear the blows. So like all of that is all intertwined. The music is fantastic, but we already knew that. But again, you know, I already talked about the things I didn't like, but I got to say, getting to the ring and all that is fantastic. And just beyond the athletic side of this, the montages and whatnot, which are all good, the production, the cinematography of the film is solid. It's really good. Every moment counts. There's scenes that tell stories that don't have words but yet tell stories, like a duality of good versus evil. You have Michael B. Jordan wearing all white, you have Jonathan Majors wearing all black, and what does that mean and whatnot. And then you have these shots where you have one person on one side and one person on the other side, and a wall between, and different color contrast with it. Like they make all these things count, you know. So I definitely did enjoy that. And I gotta say, like, There's some comedy in there, of course, the good banter between Jonathan Majors and Michael B. Jordan. They really live up to the brother aspect of it. Wood Harris' character as the trainer comes in and brings this really ferociousness to the scene to kind of keep Michael B. Jordan credible for what he's doing. So I definitely got to give a shout out for that as well too. But you know, at the end of the day, listen, it's a great Rocky Creed movie. I just don't feel that it's a good boxing or combat sport movie, because when it comes down to the fight choreography and when you want to tailor that to what it is supposed to be emulating or simulating, whatever word you want to use, it doesn't feel like it. We watch boxing every week. There's boxing every single weekend, and it just doesn't feel like that. When you watch any other martial arts film, you know, whether it's MMA or judo or karate, it feels like those. You look at that and you say, oh, heck yeah, this is how it would go down, you know? But in this, you're like, I've never seen a boxing fight that looks like that because it's so overly exaggerated, and it being telegraphed, the punches being telegraphed, for me, I think for the uncasual boxing fan, you'll love it. But for the folks who are hardcore combat sports fans, you're going to be like, yeah, okay, I can just get with this. This is a movie, I get it. But like, that's again how I'm viewing this. I'm viewing this as one, a combat sports enthusiast and somebody who loves a good film. And it's absolutely a very entertaining film. But for the enthusiast parts of it, yeah, could have been better, and I'm still waiting for it to be better. Oh, and I should mention, I was a little worried about Jonathan Majors' fight choreography in this, and that without a doubt was a bad. I think for whatever reason I had my doubts. That was just unnecessary stress in my life. Like, he was great. He was throwing those punches. I actually thought he was probably the better of the boxers in there, except for Jose Benavidez. I mean, who clearly had to pull back because he's a legit boxer. But other than that, you know, the actors who aren't boxers, I thought that, you know, it was very clear, night and day difference between who really does this and who does it. So, but without a doubt, this is a film you're going to want to watch. It is fun. It is entertaining. You're on the edge of your seat. Action, good music, great production, a good story with a lot of heart. There's definitely some moments where you definitely will tear up. And whether or not you want to think that Damian, Jonathan Majors' character, is a bad guy, that's up to you. But like, honestly, it took a long time before his character truly reveals his true colors, that you'd be like, okay, he's definitely the villain. But other than that, you just see miscommunication. And to me, I don't think it's fair to judge a person just off of that. And overall, it's still an underdog story, which you still kind of root for him, because that's what all of these films have always been about. Rocky being an underdog, Adonis Creed being an underdog. So Damian being an underdog, I wouldn't cheer for him. Okay, fine. All right, I'll take it. Anywho, folks, y'all check it out. Y'all let me know in the comments your thoughts about it when you do. And as always, stay tuned for more reviews very soon. Big old bell.